Is yet another AEW star set to jump to WWE? CM Punk has been announced for WrestleMania 40, and Tony Khan is still mad at this banished AEW star. But first, be sure to subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss the latest pro wrestling news. And let's begin by taking a look at two wrestlers that could be set to hit free agency. Wrestling free agency has been a huge topic of discussion in 2024, with many top stars deciding to leave their respective companies in favour of pastures new, with many more deals still yet to come to an end before the turn of the year. Well, we can now add two more names to that list if a report from PW Insider is to be believed. According to their sources, the TNA wrestling contracts of Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, collectively known as the Motor City Machine Guns, are set to come to an end in the very near future, potentially as soon as the end of March. The report doesn't confirm if the duo are going to stay or go, although the tag team could be subject to a bidding war were they to choose to let their deals expire in order to explore free agency, with them likely to receive bids from all across the pro wrestling space. Next up, a TNA vs WWE match has been confirmed. It has become a tradition on WrestleMania weekend that Game Changer Wrestling and former UFC heavyweight champion Josh Barnett promote the Bloodsport event, a show that's heavily inspired by MMA and takes place inside a ring with no turnbuckles or ropes. The rules are simple. Every match must end in a knockout or submission, with contests often coming across as stiff and strong style-esque. Last week it was announced that current WWE superstar Shayna Baszler, who is herself a former UFC fighter, will take place in this year's Bloodsport 10 event. This after Barnett reportedly reached out to his friend Triple H in order to arrange a deal, although at the time the Queen of Spades' opponent had yet to be announced. Well, with that said, Shayna's opponent has now officially been confirmed on X, with the former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion set to clash with current TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champion Masha Slamovich, and Josh Barnett would note, "In a place like Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, when a name like Shayna Baszler is announced, it's like blood in the water of an ocean of nothing but sharks." One voice stood out loudest and proudest of all, a voice with a tenor of authority from her accomplishments and tone of pure violence. In the end, I could not deny her request. The statement would be accompanied by a video promo featuring Slamovich calling out Baszler for a fight at Bloodsport, ending with a graphic confirming that the match is official. And next up is yet another AEW star set to jump to WWE. Over the past few weeks, reports have emerged revealing that the AEW contract of Matt Hardy is set to expire later this month, something that was confirmed by the man himself on a recent episode of his podcast. Whilst negotiations are set to be ongoing, no deal has been agreed at this point, meaning that Hardy could soon hit the free agency market in the coming days. With that said, speculation is now mounted regarding what his future could hold after Matt and his wife Rebby were spotted at last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. Fan photos and a TikTok video from Rebby has shown that the couple were both inside a box at the PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina for the show, a taping that took place just 1 hour away from their home in Cameron. Not only this, but Matt and Jeff Hardy were both mentioned by Raw commentator Michael Cole when hyping the upcoming Jimmy Uso vs Jey Uso singles match, noting that this would be the third time a brother versus brother bout will take place at WrestleMania, with him specifically name-dropping Matt and Jeff, a rarity for WWE when it comes to talent contracted elsewhere. With that said, it seems that the Hardy visit wasn't a sign that WWE and Matt are in talks, detailing how the situation came to be, and they would note, "Hardy is still technically under All Elite Wrestling contract, and the two sides have had dialogue. On Monday, a friend of Rebby's invited the two to sit in their suite at PNC Arena for WWE Raw. The Hardys would go on to visit for about 90 minutes. It appears that for now there's no fire to the Matt Hardy to WWE smoke, although it will be interesting to see if anything develops in the coming weeks as his AEW contract continues to tick down. Next up, a WWE superstar has been removed from the company's active roster. In January, former NXT Women's Champion Raquel Rodriguez would reveal that she'd been diagnosed with mast cell activation syndrome, which was the cause of her absence between December 3rd and February 19th. She would later compete in the Women's Elimination Chamber event on February 24th, despite a flare-up on her face due to her condition, with her only working one match since then on the February 26th episode of Raw. According to a new report from PW Insider, Raquel has now been removed from WWE's internal active roster, with her instead being moved to the list of names who are currently out of action. It's not confirmed in the report if her MCAS is the reasoning for this, although for now it seems that the 6-foot Texan will be away from television until further notice. And next up, CM Punk has been announced for WrestleMania 40. CM Punk's WWE return run would come to a screeching halt at Royal Rumble 2024 when he suffered a torn tricep during an exchange with Drew McIntyre in the men's Rumble match. This would lead to Punk being sidelined for a number of months, with his reported plans to main event WrestleMania for the first time going up in smoke. Despite his absence, Punk has continued to be the target of verbal jabs from both Drew McIntyre and WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins, who was set to go one-on-one at the Showcase of the Immortals, with many wondering if this would lead to the Second City Saints getting involved in the storyline before the show. Well, following last week's announcement that Punk will be in attendance next week for Monday Night Raw in Chicago, the man himself has now confirmed that he will also be in Philadelphia this April for WrestleMania. And during a video package that showed Punk on his road to recovery, he would state, "WrestleMania is in Philadelphia. What are the first 4 letters in Philadelphia? Phil. You can't have WrestleMania in Philadelphia without Phil. Whether I'm invited or uninvited never really matters with CM Punk. He'll be there." The fact that the video package showed Punk working on his right arm, the arm that he injured, could be a suggestion that he's closer to a full recovery than first thought, and could be a hint that he will be involved physically at WrestleMania. But do you think CM Punk will be able to wrestle at Mania next month? And could he be added to the World Heavyweight title match if all things go to plan? Or will he simply take on the role of host for the show, or maybe even special guest referee for the Drew McIntyre-Seth Rollins match? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But wouldn't it be quite the scene if next week on Raw, CM Punk announced to his hometown crowd that he was healthy and ready to main event WrestleMania? Let's wait and see. Next up, Tony Khan is still mad at this banished AEW star. And speaking of CM Punk, his initial WWE return would be made possible by the fact that he'd find himself terminated with cause following an incident at AEW All in London this past summer, where comments made on screen by Jungle Boy Jack Perry led to a backstage confrontation between the two. The comments were in relation to a past disagreement that saw management ask Punk to step in to persuade Perry against the use of real glass on an episode of AEW Collision, a story that hit the dirt sheets. Since then, Punk and AEW have gone their separate ways, whilst Perry still hasn't returned to the company, finding himself on excursion in New Japan Pro-Wrestling, where he's been repackaged as the scapegoat, a gimmick based around the blame he's received for AEW losing their top draw. Well, it seems that the gimmick may be a reflection of reality, as according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, AEW President Tony Khan is still mad at Jack for instigating the incident that ultimately led to his favourite wrestler and #1 pick for AEW leaving the company, and this is what Dave had to say. He has absolutely not been fired, but they are not using him. Tony's really mad at him because he cost him CM Punk. He's getting the blame. He probably should have been suspended for a month or 2. Where are we? 7 months now. 7 months. It's ridiculous. Punishment doesn't fit the crime at this point. Now, there's a chance that Dave's comments are based on his best guess, based on the fact that Jack has been sent to New Japan and hasn't been seen on AEW television since August, so we should take a step back and consider the fact that this could be speculation and Meltzer's opinion rather than an official report based on first-hand knowledge. However, assuming that he does know directly how Tony Khan is feeling towards Perry, it certainly raises a few questions regarding what we know about the situation and about what Khan himself has said publicly. It adds yet another red flag to the official statement made by the AEW president upon announcing the firing of CM Punk, as did he truly fear for his life if he was so mad about having to make this decision, and was it merely a front to justify the termination in a legal sense? And 2, it appears to raise questions over who instigated what directly prior to the fight itself, as if it was merely a case of CM Punk assaulting Perry, then would Khan hold so much blame towards the latter? In any case, if Khan's reported feelings towards Perry are true, then it raises some doubts as to if he'll ever return to AEW, although we must remember that Jack does have the public backing of the executive vice presidents of the company, the Young Bucks, which could be enough to sway Khan into giving him another shot. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 Tony Khan secrets AEW wants you to forget.